could have slammed Abraham one time. It tells you the work Abraham did as a father in Isaac. To the point where Isaac was so conformed to the will of Elohim that his human strength as a young man, he did not use it to violate his father to save his life. This is why Isaac is a type of Christ. Even though he was equal to God, yet he did not count it robbery to equate himself in strength, in will, and in purpose to the Father. Have you raised your child to learn to live for the sole reason of dying? Have you taught your sons that the purpose of life is death to the flesh, that they may live in eternity? The weight of conviction that you carry, is it the same weight that your sons and your daughters have? That which keeps you pursuing God, wakes you up in the dead of the night, causes you to be a wailing prophet that never leaves the walls of God. Has he become the conviction and the dread of your sons? Fathers, if we do not wake up, many of us will get to heaven and we will find that there is no inheritance for us. Because you are defined and rewarded by the covenants that are committed to you. What has been committed to you? And what God commits to you comes to you in many facets. It comes to you through prophecy. It comes to you through your bloodline. When we talk about bloodline, many times we talk about bloodline in light of curses. But do you realize there are blessings in bloodlines? Do you realize that there are families that were raised to be kings? And many of the families that worship strange gods and carried the priesthood of demonic altars, many of them were designated by God to carry priesthood. It is their gift that Satan uses. Their gift to see into the spirit realm. Their gift to understand how to service altars. Their gift to understand the melody that opens the spirit realm. Satan takes all of that natural inclination. He possesses it and he uses it to build his own altar. Many of those families were raised to be priests for God. Do you understand that the commitment to you is also through your bloodline? Some of you, heaven is waiting and saying, when will you claim the mantle of leadership that I gave to your grandmother? It says, Timothy, this same faith that was in your grandmother, Lois, and was in your mother, is now at work in you. It tells you that faith is not just the substance of things hoped for. Faith is a substance. A substance that can be seen, that can be felt, and is transferable to another generation. God is waiting and saying, where is that mantle in Kenya? The forefathers of faith in this land, they fought for Kenya to be a gate in Africa, for Kenya to be a voice coming out of the east, flowing as Pishon, Gihon, Hiddekel, and Euphrates, for the fruits of this land to be beautiful and sweet, as a prophetic representation that Kenya is meant to be an Eden, that out of this land should flow the rivers of God to the ends of the earth. Fathers labored, moved from county to counties, raised dangerous prophetic prayers, opened gates in the spirit, broke doors open so that you might walk in it. And God is saying, do you recognize the bloodline that flows through this church? Do you remember what the father of this house labored for? You are fighting for a leadership position, fighting inside department. When Bishop Alan started this ministry, was that what he prayed for? Was that what he wept for? Was that what he cried for? Do you even know the spiritual inheritance that was labored for to give to you? Many of you do not have bone in the spirit. Never commanded an altar or opened a gate. Whilst you are sitting in a house that carries the inheritance of opening gates and breaking open portals that never existed before their time. And yet you cannot break simple culture. A testimony of breaking the hand of poverty and entering into wealth. And yet you cannot tell that if he did it, then it has become your inheritance. Many sons have become the shame and the snare of their fathers. Not because the fathers did not labor, because the sons have refused to enter the fruitfulness of the labor of the fathers. Then some enter into it and they insult the fathers. And God said, remind my people that you may see the promised land. You may enter the promised land, but you cannot keep the promised land if you do not honor the fathers and the mothers who gave you the weight that you now have. Bishop, this is not what I thought I would preach. I've not looked at my notes for once, because I perceive in my spirit that the Holy Ghost has his own plan for this morning. And I perceive in my spirit that this church is shifting. It's shifting. It's shifting. There is a new kind of relevance that God is giving to JCC. And for it to be established, God needs to forcefully pull out a line of covenant that was promised to this house. You thought you had seen it before, but God is saying, I will walk with you the way I walked with Isaac. But the dimension of the expression in Jacob is not going to be the way it was with Abraham. He moved from tent to tent. Joseph built cities. There is a new day in this house. And a new womb is opened. So the contractions you will see are not problems. They are merely bed pangs that signal the new day. And when a new day comes, anyone that surrounds the birthing mother must know that it is not time to criticize how she screams. It is time to say, go, mommy push, mommy push. Because the coming seed is the glory of the family. Let he that had an ear, let him hear what the Spirit of God is saying. Jacob journeyed to Genesis 28. Stood right there. No prayer meeting, no night vigil, no holy communion, nothing. As a matter of fact, Jacob stood at Bethel, laying there as a finished man, a man of fear, a man of confusion, not knowing what the future held for him, unsure of what his tomorrow would look like, sent to an uncle's house that he probably had never experienced before. He saw a display of deceit in him. Somewhere in him, he felt like what I did to my brother was not good. But at the same time, he could not deny that he needed to do something to take the covenant. But also wondered, could there have been a better way? But there was no teacher. The only teacher he had was his mother, Rebecca. And we must understand that there was something about her bloodline. It was in her bloodline that men like Laban came out from. And the Bible records how Laban was a deceiver. And Laban changed Jacob's wages 10 times. Then we came into the house of Jacob. And Rebecca tried to help him secure the blessing. What did she do again? Deceit. You will deceive your brother and you will collect it from the father. And then you look at Jacob. How was he operating? Deceit. It tells you that there was something that was coming from that family line. From Laban to Rebecca to Jacob. Guess what? Rachel. Jacob is running with his family. And God says to Laban, don't touch him. Don't even say anything. And he said, no problem. When he saw Jacob, he said, I don't have any problem with you. The only issue I have is that you've taken the gods of my father's house. And he said, I didn't touch your God. Who took the gods? Who was sitting on top of the gods? Rachel. From one generation to the next, deceit was established as a pattern out of that family line. So Jacob was not taught. The only teacher he had was a broken woman who was tutored by the gods of their house. Remember, Laban was a sorcerer. He said to Jacob, I have learnt by divination that God has prospered me because of you. He didn't learn because he was worshiping Elohim. He knew by divination, reading of the sun, the stars, and the moon. That is the house that the woman that raised Jacob came from. So what could she teach him? My mother would say, when we're there, we're younger. And I'm like, Mommy, no, we don't want this bag. Look at the bag that all my friends are carrying. My mother would say, now food, when mama gets, now take the feeding picking. It is the food a mother has that she feeds her child with. What I don't have, I can't give you. She could not give Jacob anything else but how she had learned to survive in life. So a man that was designated by God to be the carrier of a covenant dangerous to the kingdom of darkness was raised by a woman broken by the doctrines of sorcery from her father's house. This is the story of many of us. You carry something so great on the inside of you, but that which has become the tutelage of your life is the brokenness of your father, your mother, your nation, and this generation's culture. And so you sit there, you who were supposed to be the billionaire that is called to be the richest man in Africa. You sit there saying, Kenya economy, what's your business with Kenya's economy? There are many people who dwell in this world by navigating the global economy. You are still here insulting president that cannot add 10 shillings to your account. Reduce the weight of the power of your covenant to the politics and the legislations of men. Do you recognize that there was a time when there was famine, and those who carried covenant in the Bible were consistently marked by their capacity to dig new wells in dryness, to break out in plenty in famine? Have you ever considered that the pressures of your land, they are supposed to be the thing that evoke the covenant of plenty on the inside of you? But when there are no fathers who mirror the warfare of prosperity and show you that I am Isaac, I am Abraham, I came out of my father's house, came out of my people, came out of my land, walked away with nothing, but I stand as the bearer of the covenant of nations. You cannot be poor in life. Abraham says, dig again, there is yet a well. So even though he is dead, he yet speaks in the faith that he mirrored to Isaac. Can Isaac hear? Can Isaac remember? When you are dealing with bloodline blessings, you do not become the one that carries the scepter in your time because you are the next in line. You become the one that carries the scepter in your time because you are the one that remembers the covenant with much weight in your inside. And you are willing to fight for its manifestation above your brothers. This is why when Elijah died, the person who got the mandate was not the one who started the school of the prophets with him. The person who carried the mantle was the one who pursued him till the end. The limitation of our generation is not the availability to volunteer, it's the lack of the strength to pursue to the end. Apostle Isi, I love you, I love you. Apostle Isi, I love you, I love you. Apostle Isi, I love you. Then the first day I said to you, what was that thing you did? No, you can't act like that. Kings and rulers don't behave like that. Phew, you are vanished. Then you, who chased me for 1 year, we have the audacity to block me. May God not block your destiny. You know we are all nice now. and liberal. But we forget to teach the next generation that we are not mates in the spirit. If you like, call me sis. There's some don't even... Sorry, please, let me put my shoe once again for this. I want to ask a question. Please, help me. Ma, please, ma, with all respect, I want to ask. What is the problem that East Africans have with greeting? Kenyans especially. Somebody said it's because there were no kings. Such a lack of honor. Great at political protocol, but poor in interpersonal honor. Oh yes, woman of God, let me carry your bag. Let me wear your shoe. Yes, the protocol that man sees. But interpersonal relationships are quick to forget weight. I've never in my life seen any other country like that. So I just stand back and look. When they send me messages sometimes on Instagram, are you going to be adjusted? So I say, good afternoon to you too. Who is your mate? Because I'm wearing bone straight and tight dress does not mean we are friends. Who is your sis? I was casting out demons before you even knew they existed. Can I talk? But you have to understand that God said what will keep the promised land for the next generation is for them to understand honor. Not as an appearance of submission, but as a spiritual system, as a gate and as a highway that delivers the strength of the labor of a former generation. And I teach this very often. When God said to Abraham, and said to Moses, tell them to honor their fathers and their mothers, so that their days may be long in the land I am giving to them. The word for honor is the Hebrew word Kabod. Many of us say Kabod, but we say Kabod in relation to the weight of his glory, the weight of his presence. But you see, the word Kabod comes from the way that the Jews used to measure. Now, they had those scales that were on two sides. And on one side of the scale, they will put a known weight. Gold, silver, or bronze. They knew the value of gold, silver, or bronze. It was the known weight. They will put it on one side. And then they will carry the other thing they want to weigh and put it on the other side. If when they put it, the thing that they were weighing went up like this and the gold came down, they will say in comparison to the weight of gold, the glass is XYZ. If the glass came down and the gold went, they will say, in comparison to the weight of gold, the glass is weightier. It is 3 times the weight of gold. Does somebody understand what I'm saying? That was the measuring scale they used. Now, what I want to say to you is that known weight that was used to measure the unknown was called the Kabod. So when God said to Moses, tell the children to Kabod their fathers and their mothers, he was saying, tell them to know the weight of the former generation. If they don't, they will not know their own weight. And if they don't know their own weight, they may receive the promise because another generation labored to give it to them, but they will never be able to keep it. The God that told Moses, tell them to Kabod their parents. Do you know what he was looking at the parents doing at that time? They were building golden calves. He told Moses, command the children to know the weight of fathers and mothers that are building idols. Moses came down and was angry, broke the 10 commandments because he thought these commandments cannot be for these unrighteous people. I'm sure when he came back up, God said to him, Moses, can you be more righteous than I am? Do you think I did not see them building the golden calf when I told you what I told you? Yes, he was the God on the mountain, but he's omnipresent. How could he tell them to honor parents who were idolaters? Because he wasn't saying respect their broken demonic cultures. No. He was saying be sensitive enough to remember their walks and walks of faith that brought them to where they are, to the point where food is falling from heaven for them. Water is coming from rock for them. Their clothes are growing on their body. There was a level of faith they possessed that provoked heaven to release the supernatural. Tell the children, do not concentrate on the brokenness of the fathers. That is not your business. It is for me to deal with. But tell them to concentrate on the journeys and the history of faith so that they will know what has been handed to them as a blessing. Is somebody with me? It is not enough to know history, but it is by the eyes of the Spirit you must interpret history. History doesn't tell you the true story. It is the kingdoms that tell you what they want you to hear from history. The kingdom of darkness, they called him Beelzebub. They called him a drunkard because he drank with men. But we call him the bearer of the wine of the Spirit. When he lifted up the cup and lifted up the bread, they called him an occultist, telling people to come and eat his body. But we call him the life of God that is shed amongst us. And as we eat of his body, we partake of the life of the Father. History will tell a plain story. The kingdoms will tutor you on how to interpret it. Do you see Jesus in the midst of your fathers? Listen, no matter how high I go in this life, no matter the president and ruler, I see leaders, world leaders sit in front of me like children. Billionaires telling me, so Apostle, what should I do? The kind of money my hand has not touched. They wait for me to counsel them on how to navigate the terrain that I've never seen. No matter how far I go, you will never see me come to this church and say to you, you know, my dear friend and sister Kathy, hey. Is it because I'm not called to be an apostle? But you have to understand that in the spirit, it is not about the strength of your appearance in time. It is about the weight and the consistency of your labor through time. We are no mates now. Have I built a church like this? Have I dealt with the level of politics she has dealt with? We are no mates. So when my seniors in ministry embrace me, I do not think I am worthy of it. I consider it an honor, a privilege, and an opportunity given to me by God to learn to shorten my distance so that I don't make mistakes that I could have avoided. Hear me. I am not soliciting for hierarchical, do you understand? No. But I am saying, my generation, may we get sense. Do you understand? May we get sense. May we try to get sense. This liberty you are fighting for, what have you done with it? This freedom, nobody can tell you what to do. What have you done with it? What have you built? God has given me the exposure ministry. Show me in scripture. Show me in the Bible. You are called to expose the saints. Expose them to who? To the courts of who? Did the Bible not say do not rebuke an elder? Maybe they talk true now. What fuels many of the things we do is actually the fear on the inside of us, the unaddressed brokenness, and the lack of making the journey of mercy and compassion. That's why we have not fully entered the ministry of restoration. When God has broken your spirit for the sake of the salvation of another man, you are slow to expose, but quick to reconcile. It is the lack of the process of the Spirit that makes us break the body. For your sake, we are beaten. For your sake, we are stoned. For your sake, we are killed. For your sake, we suffer shipwreck. For your sake. There's a level of apostleship you get to. You recognize that your suffering is not because you have violated any law, but because you are supposed to be the appearance of the law of love to a generation. Many don't have strength because they have not yet received the grace to suffer for brotherhood. JCC, you are too quiet. Am I preaching amiss? There are certain mantles and mandates you carry. You no longer decide for yourself. He said to him, there is a time when you will do as you please, go where you will. But a day is coming where you will grow as an apostle. Another will take you by the hand and lead you to places you do not want to go to, but you will follow. Because the mark of spiritual maturity, authority, I say it again, is not the liberty to do as you please, but the constraint to follow as he wills. Still on the topic of marriage. Yesterday I was talking and I said, men, steward your homes very carefully. For many years, was it Nabal or Naboth? One has H, one has L. Treated Abigail anyhow. To the point where they said, forgive him. For like his name is, he's a foolish man. He had created a structure around folly. And he had an audience who danced to the tune of foolishness. Served his folly. Enriched his folly. To the point where he was a rich and prosperous man. How could he be foolish and prosperous? It is because the people of the land where he were not any wiser. They yet bought and sold and traded with a man who did not have wisdom. And guess what? It is like this generation where you can be foolish and be an influencer. You can come on social media and say ultimate nonsense. And any person who carries the spirit of judgment and righteousness will listen to what you are saying and say, why does this person have 1 million followers? You have created a career out of folly. Do you know that there are many comedians? Let me not touch it. Read scriptures. What will happen to the mockers? We want to laugh, but our laughter must be spiritual. Because according to Psalm 2, he that sits in heaven laughs. When does he laugh? When the enemy rages. That is to tell you that laughter is not for entertainment but for warfare. So those who create mockery to entertain the foolishness and the brokenness of men, you are in trouble. Who have made a career out of mocking the labors and the mistakes of other people, you are in trouble. I am not the one saying the scriptures declare. So may we not be simple-minded, born-again Christian. All the comedians you follow are men dressed like women. And as you are playing it, your 10-year-old son is joining you to laugh. One man wears wig, puts breast, puts bum, shaking it. You two, you are laughing. You see, you don't know your laughter is a declaration of war or a declaration that your city is open for invasion. And then 15 years later, you are wondering why your son is behaving like a woman. He that sits in heaven laughs because there's warfare at hand. Warfare is a declaration that it is time for the heavens to move. When they say, let us break their chains, Let us weaken their boundaries. Let us weaken their borders. Let us weaken a generation. He that sits in heaven laughs, and he holds in derision those who seek to walk in rebellion. But you, a God, you laugh with the demons of rebellion, with the demons of fornication, with the demons of adultery. You open the gates of your spirit and your generations for invasion. Now your children are fighting a war that they do not understand.